Hello amazing people, and once again you're welcome to my channel. In today's video I'll be teaching you how to make the stylish Agbada dress. My fabric right there is folded into two, and right there I went ahead to mark my shoulder measurement as 7.5. Once that is done, I marked 6 inches, which is going to be for my pleats on the shoulder, and then I went ahead to mark 30 inches for the total length of my sleeve. If you're working with a damask fabric, go ahead and fold your fabric into 4 without any cut around the shoulder. So I went ahead to mark 14 inches right from the shoulder. I connected a straight line to meet the 14 inches right there. Once that is done, go ahead and connect it with a curve to meet the 14 inches you marked right there. That part is a puff sleeve, so you just want to give it that curve. We are going to go ahead and impute our measurement. So right there, I'll be imputing my hip measurement, divide by 4 plus extra 6 inches. Divide your hip measurement by 4, add extra 6 inches to it, and mark it around that. Once that is done, I'm going to go ahead and connect straight to meet the hem of my dress. But right there I have 17 inches, so I'm going to make sure I have 17 inches all through. My hip measurement divided by 4 is 11 inches plus extra 6 inches is 17 inches. So I'm marking 17 inches all through. Go ahead and mark 6 inches away from my hem, the hem of my dress, and then I'll connect from my center front to meet the 6 inches right there. That is just to give it that. After marking it out, the next thing to do is to cut. So go ahead and cut around the marked area like you see me do. Once you're done with the cutting, I want to go ahead and cross-check our measurement. So for this part, I have my shoulder measurement, like I said earlier. And then after my shoulder measurement, I went ahead to mark extra 6 inches for my shoulder pleat. By the time I'm done pleating, I'll have 3 inches. So I'll go ahead and determine the center. So I'm just trying to show you what the pleat looks like. By the time I'll be sewing it, this is what it should look like. So, and then on the sleeve, I'm going to go ahead and pleat it to give it that puffy effect. All this will be happening in the... So once that is done, I'm going to go ahead and cut 2 pieces of the same size, the same length and everything. One is for the front piece, and then the other will be for the back piece. So I'm going to go ahead and... So right now I have 2 pieces, one for the center front and the other for the center back. So I'll go ahead and mark 3 inches for my neck width and 1 inch for my neck depth. That will be for the back neckline. And once that is done, I'll just curve it a little bit like so, and then I'll go ahead and cut it out. So I'm cutting the 2 necklines together. I'm cutting the back neckline first. So once that is done, I'll take out the back piece and then work on the front piece. Now on the front piece, I'm going to go ahead and mark 8 inches for my neck depth. 8 inches is just enough for my neck depth, but then I'll maintain the same 3 inches for the neck width. So I'll go ahead and connect it with a curve like this. So the next thing to do is to impute my shoulder slant. So I'm going to go ahead and join both pieces together, and then I'll mark 1.5 inches around the edge of the sleeve there, and then I'll connect from the edge of the sleeve to meet somewhere around the neckline, just 1.5 inches slope. So go ahead and slope yours to meet the center front around the neckline. So I'll cut it out like you see me doing. So if you're working with a damask fabric, you don't need a lining for this dress, so you go ahead and cut out a facing for both the back piece and the front piece. But I'll be using lining to turn in my dress because what I'm using is an Ankara fabric. So go ahead and cut your facing if you're working with a damask fabric. So right now I'm going to go ahead and place ½ inch for sewing allowance around and determine shoulder. So my client's round sleeve is 18 inches, so I'm going to go ahead and mark 9 inches right there. I've done that, and then from that 9-inch I'll join the sleeve part to it and then connect it like so. So you don't need any slope for the sleeve to the puff, so that makes it a straight sleeve, and then the upper part is, so whichever length you choose for your sleeve is just okay. So go ahead and mark. You can do 10 inches, you can do. Once that is done, lay your front piece on the table like so, and then we are going to go ahead and shape the slit opening and also the side from the hem of your dress. Go ahead and measure 14 inches upwards, leave out 2 inches on the center front, and then cut it out like so. Now you connect a curve from that 14 inches. So the next thing to do is to cut out the design in front. Go ahead and mark 3 inches for your neck width and then 8 inches for your neck depth. I know what is on the screen there is 3.5 inches. So go ahead and connect the lines like so. Once you're done, you're going to go ahead and shape the neckline like so. Just shape it like you see me do, and then mark 3 inches around the shoulder. When you get to somewhere around the middle of the neckline, mark 2.5 inches, and then for the length of the design I'll be working with 16 inches, which is my client's half cut measurement, the half cut measurement, and then just give it a slope like so to meet the 14 inches. So you're connecting from the shoulder to the 14 inches and then curve to meet the 16 inches, which is my client's half cut measurement. If your client's half cut measurement is 17 inches, go ahead and determine this length at 17 inches. So right there, I've gone ahead to iron my paper gum to it. Please note that the fabric I used to determine, then the one I ironed on it was paper gum. Now this design has a joining in at the center front. If you have enough fabric, you do not need to join this together. Just go ahead and cut it straight. But my fabric wasn't enough, so I had to join it around the center front right there. So once that is done, I'll go ahead and place it using hemming gum to hold it down to. So I'm going to go ahead and use my hemming gum to hold it to my fabric. I'm just trying to make sure it lays flat enough. Then I'll use my hemming gum and then lay it flat under the design, and then I'll sprinkle enough water on it and then iron. You need to sprinkle enough water so that this design does not shrink while you are ironing it. So at this point, I'm done attaching it to my fabric. Remember, I said you should sprinkle enough water on it. Make sure you have enough water on your design to make it lay down flat. If you don't sprinkle enough water on it, it's going to shrink this design. Once that look rough, I'll use this trimming lace to neaten or seal up the edge of my design. So I'm just going to go ahead and place it like so and stitch on it, following the shape of my design like so. Once that is done, I'm going to turn in my neckline with my lining. Record that I said earlier that if you are working with a damask fabric, you need to cut a facing for this dress, but I'm working with an Ankara fabric, so I need a lining to turn in the neckline. So if you're working with a damask fabric, go ahead and turn it with a facing. So I'll sew around the neckline like so, and then I'm done. I'm done sewing, and then I've ironed it also, and it's laying flat. So go ahead and sew yours too and iron it and lay it flat. So once that is done, I'll place my flip your lining over the center front like so, and then tuck it in properly and make sure the two necklines align properly around the neckline there. So lay it flat and then you sew straight to meet the hem of the sleeve right there. So I'm done joining both sides together, and you can see it's looking flat and neat. So now go ahead and determine shoulder is 14 inches. Go ahead and take out 3 inches, which is for your neck height directly. Place that mark right there. So if your shoulder 3.5 inches. So go ahead and make sure it is seated. What I simply mean is that that first line, that first mark you're seeing there should be seated at your shoulder measurement exactly. So what you see me marking right now, this first line in front is seated directly on my shoulder wide. The first line in front, the one closer to the design, is situated directly on my shoulder measurement. So that part is my shoulder measurement. Go ahead and mark yours exactly at your shoulder measurement. How do you do that? Minus, and then go ahead 3 inches for your neck. Place the remaining measurement you have for your shoulder measurement and then situate it right there. So once I'm done, I'm going to hold it together like so, and then I'm going to sew on a straight line. So once I'm done sewing, this is what I have. This is the result. This is the Agbada pleats around the shoulder area. You just need one on each side. So make sure your Agbada slit or your Agbada design is seated directly on your shoulder. So on the side of the center front, slightly away from the center, I'm going to go ahead and mark where I'll be placing my drawstring. So my drawstring is going to lie between these lines I'm rolling. I'm going to be rolling 3 lines, one for the center and 2 others for the side. So I'll sew around that line like so. So once that is done, I'll determine the center of my center front, the middle of my center front. Then I'll go ahead and mark 14 inches away from my shoulder. That is where I'll be placing my belt. My belt is seated directly on my under bust measurement. Shoulder to under bust for my client is 14 inches. So my belt is seated directly or starts from the 14 inches, which is her under bust measurement. So place your tape around your shoulder, the shoulder of the dress, and mark 14 inches, or rather mark your shoulder to under bust measurement and then roll a straight line right there, and then that is where you're going to be sewing your belt to. Now my belt is 3 inches wide. What I have there is 3.5 inches. When I'm done sewing, I have 3 inches wide. So 3 inches wide is enough to match your waist right now for the puff sleeve. And I'm going ahead to sew the drawstring also, and I'm going to go ahead and knot around the shoulder. You can tiny holes around the edge. Once that is done, go ahead and mark the middle of the sleeve extension and place it right side facing. It's just something I can center to center and then sew straight. So this is the result. I can pass my safety pin and then I'll go ahead and sew or close my dress from the sleeve to meet the hem of the dress like so. So I'll sew around that area from the sleeve to meet the hem of my dress. So once I'm done sewing, this is the result that I have. Now please note, if your sleeve is too loose, go ahead and add more pleats to it. And then around the puff sleeve, around the armhole region, you can go ahead and pleat as much as you want. So I had to go ahead and pleat the same pleat you replicated 2 on the upper part. Repeat that same process on the lower part of the sleeve. You can, on the lower part of the sleeve, you can do 2 to 3. Then I went ahead to draw my string and then fixed my button. So guys, this is the result. So do well to like, share and subscribe to my channel. Turn on your notification button